We're here today on October 7th, 2010, as we enter the 10th year of the war in Afghanistan and too many years of war in Iraq. What we have here today is a banner, and it is a compilation of newspaper articles about local peace activists. I want to share that with you. It starts off, this is actually the anniversary of the first article about the local peace group. It's right here. This is Patricia Farrow. The first rally was on October 6, 2002 on the courthouse green, and had many area activists were protesting the looming war in Iraq. Patricia Farrow is the first person I personally contacted. She's in a motorized wheelchair and has a "Do Not Resuscitate" sticker on her door, and she made it to the peace rally. It's one of my heroes and someone who inspired me to work for peace. Following this, we rallied at the Federal Plaza, Federal building on Harrison Street many times, and we've tried to do everything we possibly can to stop the war. There were hundreds of people from the entire area coming out, people from cities other than Fort Wayne. We started out writing letters to the editor. Here's an example. This is the first letter I wrote, was January 9th of 2003. And basically, my field in the Air Force, I'm an Air Force veteran. I am a member of Veterans for Peace currently. One of the aspects of my career field was chemical, biological, nuclear warfare. From my Air Force training, I knew that chemical weapons didn't last for decades. Pretty fragile, basically. The idea that chemical weapons from, say, the Iran-Iraq war era were still viable was ludicrous. And I didn't understand how our government couldn't know that. We'll get to that later. So basically, I didn't really see how Iraq was ever going to harm us here without intercontinental ballistic missiles, and they appeared to be in pretty poor shape in January of 2003. Pretty beat up still from their war with Iran. Another article here, so this would be January 19th. Somewhere, and one of the sadness is one of the reasons why I created this banner, and this banner was created as the strikers were leaving Iraq, supposedly the end of combat. I felt called upon to dig all these articles out of the closet and do something with them, because really our biggest rallies were in 2003 and essentially before the war started. It's pretty counterintuitive that as our expenses in terms of blood and treasure mounted, fewer and fewer people question and oppose the war. Still doesn't make any sense to me at all. So we had hundreds of people, and really asking why in the world we were attacking Iraq. And we still are. It's a lot of winter rallies here. Very cold winter. It was a cold winter. I was proud of everyone. I wish I could have a complete compilation of all the wonderful peace letters who have been written by local people. Newspaper has been very good on that and published both sides of it and been very fair. Many people questioned what we were doing and why we were doing it. So moving on here, we have articles from even more than the News Sentinel Journal Gazette in the Fort Wayne area. This is IPFW Communicator. It's me holding the sign, nonviolence, non-existence. It's really the essential question of this time. We've only got a few choices here, and people who are in the peace movement, I think they really like life, really enjoy everything, you know, that we see, the beauty of our planet, and the horror that would come from destroying it ourselves. That is a little bit crazy. Probably the best action I'm most proud of personally would be January 22nd of 2003. 13 people out of hundreds of thousands in Allen County marched from the courthouse green to the Federal Plaza with signs like "Let the inspectors work," and people say, "Oh my gosh, what could we have done? How could we have avoided war with Iraq?" It's as simple as those 4 words. We had international weapons inspectors on site. They were quite competent, and that was all that was required. It would have taken care of the whole situation. I've added some things to the banner. The banner's been shown here on the Library Plaza, Allen County Library Plaza, the Unitarian Church. We distributed a lot of materials. I really don't think, a lot of people think saying someone lies is a little bit strong. I don't. I don't run around in my life calling people a liar, and I don't think many of the people who are in the peace movement live that way. But this is not a small lie. The things that were told to the American people to prompt them to support war in Iraq were lies, and I see no possible way that our government and our intelligence network did not know that. So have absolutely no problem with speaking the truth in this case and saying this is prevarication, terminological inexactitude, and lying. Some of our biggest absolute rallies in terms of the country. This is locally. We've never been alone. A lot of times we would have hundreds. Sometimes we would have dozens. Sometimes it would be half a dozen. But we have always been part of the worldwide peace movement, the national peace movement. We rallied in support of national and international rallies as much as possible. So what people have seen primarily on the courthouse green is just one city out of so many. We rallied on October 2nd of this year here, Saturday, and there were rallies in Washington and all over the country, and we're proud to be part of that. There's an expression, think global, act local. People say it, but they don't really do it much. These are things that you don't have to go to New York. You don't have to go to Washington. You can bloom where you're planted and rally in your town. Saves a lot of commuting. So really, probably we hit a grand peak on February 17th, huge rallies. I think that was New York. And locally, a fine group of local activists here that managed not to freeze too much. Again, another article here from the IPFW Communicator did a good job of covering this. And that's one of the interesting aspects of the current peace movement as opposed to past efforts like Vietnam. There was a large participation in the Vietnam era among college students. So far I've not seen it. We've rallied here for 8 years, and really probably more 80-year-olds than 18-year-olds, and that's an interesting phenomenon. The younger you are, the more you're going to pay for all of this for the rest of your life. People say, I don't feel like it affects me, and that's very, very crazy to people who've been opposing this war. Not only people alive now will be paying for it, their children will be paying for it. The interest on the debt, if we don't pay for it, we'll at least have to pay the interest on the debt. Quite a bit of it is held foreign, China, Japan. This does affect us all, and that's one of the reasons we're trying to do everything that we've done and what we're doing currently. We've had probably 24 front-page articles, so there's a lot of people that say, oh, I never heard of a local peace movement, and that's difficult. If you even looked at the paper in the newspaper box, you'd have seen a lot of these articles had invitations to the rally on the front page many times. So people have had a great opportunity. We marched, we rallied speakers, did everything possible. This is a teacher here from Southside, my alma mater, and we even tried to get some high school students involved. A few did. But really, the contrast of all this, where it becomes most interesting, is contrasting the war rallies with the peace rallies. In Auburn, there was a war rally. It was called Rally for America. Pretty much remember 9/11, attack Iraq. Never got an accurate count. 16,000 to 18,000, I think, was the official on that. And we have articles here which are contrasting what we were trying to do with that. And the comparison is not exactly flattering. And it really isn't about the peace activists who are doing everything they could think of. It really speaks to our humanity. Why would 16,000 to 18,000 people go to a war rally? And again, this is not patriotic. Make no mistake about that. Patriotism is not blind support for war, never has been. What we have here, patriotism is looking after the interests of your country. We've currently wasted over $1 trillion, that's $1,000 billion, is gone. Money that could be used as we close our schools, as healthcare suffers, many human needs unmet, and that money is gone. So I don't feel that support for unnecessary war is patriotic at all. Actually, I feel it's unpatriotic. But it sure is popular, and it seemed to be too easy to get the American people to support this war. As I made signs and banners, I tuned in to a very conservative television station, and it was just hundreds and hundreds of times the expression Iraq terror. Just those two words, Iraq terror. You heard it all day, every day in that winter of 2002 and 3. And it worked. People came out, people who actually brushed flies out the door said, Saddam has got to die. And very interesting time. So that's really, there have been a couple of those. But I do wonder. I wonder about people. I talked to some of them who participated. They felt it was identification with a political party. A lot of them went because of their church. And